So, would you like a little sneak peek of what I have to deal with in the mornings?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Did it again. Read another one. Sorry, not sorry. This is a judge-free zone here. This is a judge-free video. No judgment. I read what I want. I'm just binging these things. I don't know. I got book 10 sitting back there. This is from my local library. I did pick up the mass market paperback for, I think it's Buckskin, is book 10. And yeah, I don't know. I may read it too. I don't know. I've got to reread My Buddy Read with Tim. I got to finish that. I got to finish Lion, Witch, and Wardrobe. And I got to finish Thomas McNulty's Errol Flynn book. I've got a lot going on. That's okay. That's okay. Sorry, I'm not sorry. Let's talk about this thing. So, Revelation is book 9 in the Virgil Cole Everett Hitch series, published in 2017 by Robert Knott, part of Robert B. Parker's series. Let's dive right in. I got a lot to talk about. Let's talk about the summary of this thing. So, after the incidents of book 8, where Boston Bill Black is convicted, we get to see that the charges are dropped. And that's very good. It's thankful. I'm glad with that, especially if you read book 8 and you understand that whole story and that character's arc. Then all hell breaks loose for Virgil and Everett in the sense that in a prison in Cibola, which is about 100 miles from Appaloosa, 9 convicts escape. 2 of those convicts are hell-bent on murder and revenge. One being Augustus Driggs. He makes his way with this pretty lady and money and changes his clothes, looks like a normal guy, gets a new identity, and he makes his way to, well, none other than the town of Appaloosa. And Appaloosa's changing. There's a lot of change going on. It's becoming very businesslike. There's entrepreneurials. And Allie French is going to be our first female business owner in Appaloosa as she's opening her dress shop. And so that is a huge thing. All this is thanks to a very industrious and business-minded gentleman named Mr. Vandervoot, who is from New Orleans and is bringing in trades and goods from overseas. Vandervoot wants to make Appaloosa the Chicago, the New York of west of the Mississippi, the first ever city to have that kind of moniker. And he's doing a great job in bringing in a lot of goods and the opening these businesses, and he has a brick factory that's employing people, and he has streets and avenues, and even the town hall is named Vandervoot Town Hall in Appaloosa. So things are looking very good for Appaloosa in terms of growth and businesses. Now, I believe I said in the previous entry that Appaloosa had a population of like 5,000. Well, in this book, they mentioned 2,000 to 3,000, but I'm adamant that the previous book said 5,000. So I don't know if that is a mistake or it was a mistake on my part. But nevertheless, Appaloosa is growing. That is a positive thing for some people. It is a negative thing for some others, including Virgil and Everett, especially as they see Appaloosa and they've seen it from kind of the grassroots. And so they're a little mixed on that. But they don't have a lot of time to think about it as they're out chasing some of these convicts. But lo and behold, they don't know that Driggs has made his way into their hometown. So they're out chasing some of these convicts, including a guy who is very unhinged that is on a murdering spree named DeGraw. And so that is kind of the premise of what all this. Let's talk about what I enjoyed. I enjoyed the premise. I enjoyed some of the subplots that happen. And I like the fact that this is the first book in the series where we move away some from always having the point of view of Everett Hitch. Knott in this one gives us the point of view of Driggs as well as Everett. And so that was interesting. I always like it when you have this murdering guy that has these ultimate plans and you get to see in his mind as he's talking through what he's seen and what he's thinking. In his actions. I thought that was very interesting. I liked it a lot. Driggs has a connection to Everett, and that's interesting. There's a mine scene in this where we have dynamite and a mine and trapped sheriffs and deputies, and I thought that was really cool. There's this other psychopath that's hell-bent on murder. So this book was probably darker than any of the other entries. There's more death, there's more blood play, or gunplay, there's more blood, and Knott sticks with actually killing off some sub characters that are core to earlier stories, and I thought that was good as well. I love how Knott created this huge tension with Driggs. Like, why is he in Appaloosa? What does this young lady mean to him? How did she come into this picture? And it gets revealed, and it's worth the reveal. But I thought that was really interesting. There was a section where Hitch and Cole make their way to Cibola to check out the prison, and they find the second guy in command, a guy named Tillery, and they go to the warden's younger warden who got the position based on a family member and whatnot. And they go to check in with him because Tillery hasn't seen him in several days, and there's a whole scene there, and it is really cool. I really like that, because it not only gives you some backstory about how things came to pass with this larger kind of plot, but it definitely gives you some character arcs that get tied up within this story as well. I thought it was really well done. There is a criticism I have. It is that the first, probably from page 50 to 100, it was a little slow. It's setting up the beginning, but it is worth it. Even though it's a criticism, it is worth it, because I have to say, the last 100 to 125 pages of this book are just rip-roaring, this is like a 325-page book. So, yeah, over a good third of this is it's unputdownable. I really liked how this thing kind of came to a climax. There's twists. It's a heck of a lot of fun. In terms of rating and overall, I give it a 4.6. I'm just enjoying the heck out of these things. I have some things I also want to say too. If you go on Goodreads, and I sometimes do, and I've talked about this before, I don't always give much thought. I don't use Goodreads as a litmus test or a barometer of how I'm rating books, but I do go on there and I will look at what the average scores are, and I will look at some of the comments. This thing has an average rating of a 3.9 on Goodreads, which I think is harsh. I really do. I went and looked at some of the comments that were left, especially some of the negative ones, which there's a lot. And a lot of people are like, this isn't Parker, it's drivel, I hate what Knott's doing. There's people that talk about they didn't like that we moved away from always the point of view of Hitch in the story. Yeah, I think people need to realize that you go into this series and these books, whether they're Parker's books or they're Knott's books in this series, and you go into them expecting a few things. It's fast-paced. There's going to be gunplay. There's women. There's love. There's the Virgil and Ally thing. There's going to be who's the fastest draw. There's going to be very short, choppy dialogue between not only Everett and Virgil and others. And you're going to get some small nuggets of moving of character arc throughout this story. That's it. They're low rent, they're low effort, and they're quick and fast-paced reads. You're not going into these things thinking that this is Hemingway, this is Dickens. That's not what you're getting. And if you go in with the mindset that you're going to be blown away by the world building and the poetic prose, if you're going to go in thinking you're going to get to really get into the mind of Virgil Cole, it's not going to happen. It's not. That's not what these books are about. So if you go in with the mindset understanding that, I think the enjoyment factor goes way up. But that's my take. I get what people say, that Knott is not Parker, and I completely agree that he's not. But at the same time, I am getting really cool mysteries and twists, thrillers with two of my favorite characters. So I take it for what it is. And yeah. The question now is, will I read book 10? Will I take the dive and read book 10, or will I wait a while as I make my way into these other books that I've made commitments on? And yeah, I'm going to try to balance it all out. Maybe I'll use the holidays to sneak something in. Who knows? But for now, I can tell you, Virgil Cole and Everett Hitch. Wonderful series. I'm really enjoying it. I give this a 4.6. Revelation. Yeah, and fun fact, Revelation, the title of Revelation becomes because Driggs loves the Bible, especially the book of Revelation. So, hope you enjoy this. Talk to you soon.